This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a daily wrestling news update. Yes, Nick Hogan is in the news today, and obviously he still has a lot of heat for paralyzing his friend. And you know what? I understand people can make mistakes when they're young, but not only did he get found guilty of reckless driving, involving serious bodily injury for that incident, August 26, 2027 or 2007. Back a couple years ago, November 18th, 2023, he had a DUI and also refused to take a breath test and refused to move for an emergency vehicle. But he is the only male in the Hulk Hogan bloodline left. Supposedly, he's in charge of Hogan's estate because Brooke didn't want anything to do with the drama involved. I think Brooke is more talented. I don't like Nick just because he seems like the typical rich kid, spoiled rich son. He's 35 now, and suddenly he wants to start training in wrestling, and supposedly he's training with some wrestler I've never heard of. But I think he's been used by WWE numerous times, and he's been appearing at these Real American Wrestling amateur events on behalf of the Hulkster. So we'll keep you up to date. On the far right are his two mug shots. Obviously, he's got zits over his face on the one where he looks younger, so that must be from the 2007. And then here he is in the middle with a wrestling ring behind him, and then to the left with Hulk Hogan. I don't know. I mean, you may nepotism is all over WWE and AEW as well. I mean, Will Ospreay's wife, and I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend, but apparently she's been hired and only wrestled like 7 times. Here's the joke about it. I saw Will Ospreay's significant other did an article about juggling wrestling with being a mom. It's like you've wrestled 7 times in a year. Most mothers have to work at least 5 times a week. You're home. Like most, let's face the facts here. And I've never even seen her wrestle, so I'm not hating on them. And I wish Will Ospreay luck with his possible career-ending injury. He's got a serious neck issue. I'm not hating on him at all, but obviously you hire the girlfriend as a favor to Will. And MJF, they hired Alicia too. I mean, they use Alicia even less than they do MJF. And the whole reason, according to everyone, pretty much, the rumor and innuendo is the reason Britt Baker is just sitting at home collecting her 1 million plus a year contract in AEW is because there was some sort of backstage incident, backstage disagreement with her and MJF's wife. Lana and Miro are new parents. Miro, another guy that was in AEW, and I actually heard Brian Alvarez talking about this today. Like Tony Khan is too nice of a guy. I guess there was issues with Miro not wanting to do jobs in AEW. So instead of firing him, oh, he doesn't really agree, so let's just sit him out. And then he goes to WWE. He's not really over hugely or anything in WWE, but there's an issue in AEW, and I want them to do better. I'm not anti AEW. I think we need competition, more competition for WWE these days. I want them to do better from the bottom of my heart for the people. I'm not favoritism to any company other than maybe to JCW because they let me use some of their footage and I'm friends with Violent J and Vince Russo. So I might have a bit of favoritism to them, but I honestly want AEW to do better. So, you know what, AEW, if you want to do better, you should hire me as an announcer that wrestles. Not like that's going to happen, but I am going to be back in the ring next year for sure. One problem with AEW, is some inexperienced people, though. Look what happened on yesterday's show. The referee couldn't call it on the fly. Sheldon Benjamin just wanted to end the match apparently early and thought the super kick looked good on Mike Bailey, former Great North Wrestling wrestler. I've both actually Shelton's wrestled for Great North Wrestling too, both of them GNW alumni. Anyways, I guess he thought his kick looked really good and he wanted to pin Mike Bailey. The referee did 1-2, and even though his shoulders were down, oh, this isn't what's scripted and I can't call it on the fly. So I'm just going to stand here like this and expose the business. Fire him. Fire the referee. If it was Bill Watts would have fired the referee. I think it looks good. I mean, why? Mike Bailey is much smaller than Shelton Benjamin. If Sheldon looked like that move was devastating enough to just end it, why would you pick him up and do another move? Why not just end it there? And I mean, he's the veteran. The referee should just, I mean, if you're at that level of being a referee, you should be able to call it on the fly enough to pin the 3. But that's just my opinion on that. In other news, Tony Khan did an interview today. He says the increased amount of titles, they're now bringing in another title, a national title. He says the reason for the increased titles is he says there's more shows now, more actual content. I don't know if there really is more content, because at one point there was Collision, Rampage, which got canceled, and Dynamite. Now there's no more Rampage. There's just Collision and Dynamite. And at one point there was AEW Dark and AEW Elevation too. Plus there's Ring of Honor, which is a division of AEW that I guess they don't actually have a television show, but it's part of it. But I don't know. I would focus, my personal thing is I like the idea of a national title, but maybe drop some of the other titles that haven't been successful at getting over instead of having so many that you can't really get them over. Because when I was the biggest fan of WWE, there was a intercontinental title, a world title, and a tag title. And it really meant a lot whenever there was a switch, and it was really easy to follow. When there's so many titles, anything more than like the world title in a company just seems like a constellation prize. Apparently, AJ Lee is upset at some AI graphic that a fan did of her kissing him, I guess. Well, I just wouldn't put it over if I was AJ Lee, who, by the way, she was hired from the same tryout that I was hired from back in 2009 in WWE, from Florida Championship Wrestling. She was at the tryout that I was hired from, but unfortunately, due to Abdullah the Butcher assaulting me with a Hep C infected razor blade, my contract got canceled and hers went through. But what a lot of people don't know, and I did post a video about this today for Throwback Thursday, is after I got cured of Hep C in 2014, I had a match in front of Jim Ross and Gerald Briscoe. And eventually, after having another match in front of Ric Flair at a Harley race camp the following year, I got an NXT tryout offer and was in talks with WWE for about 7 weeks, until about a week before the tryout, I mysteriously get a message from someone called Robert Gordon, who I had never talked to, saying that I was uninvited. Despite having people recommend me like Ross, Briscoe, Ric Flair, and superstar Billy Graham, among others, somebody kiboshed my NXT tryout. So that's too bad for financial reasons. But if those had gone through, maybe I never would have worked on this YouTube channel as I have, and never done all the legendary interviews with a lot of wrestlers that are dead now. So I'm happy I got to do that with people like Billy Graham, who I became best of friends with. Finally, apparently Paige, aka Soraya, is doing some indie dates here or there. I don't think she's actually wrestling on the indies. It's more appearances. And she had a lackluster run in AEW. There was a lot of hoopla when she first joined, but I can't remember any match that she had there. To me, they dropped the ball not having Soraya against Sasha Banks or Mercedes Monet. Those are the two biggest female names that you had in the company, and they never wrestled. I don't know why, but to me, Paige versus Sasha Banks would have been a no-brainer because at one point Sage was Paige was the most over woman in the business, and I believe that Sasha Banks she won Women's Wrestler of the Year. Yeah, I do got a bunch of interviews coming up, Matt, particularly in December. December is going to be a big interview month. I've been working on a lot of stuff lately. And I do believe I'm going to be promoting again next year, probably. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm in some preliminary talks about that as well. So we're going to be rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling here on the Hannibal TV as we reach 1 million subscribers in the year 2026. Wish everybody a great night. God bless.